Now, here to speak with us about the threat from Iran and the precarious situation Israel faces is senior researcher Kobi Michael. Kobi, thank you so much for joining us today. You know, we're seeing reports that the U.S. is militarily preparing to defend Israel in some cases, but also some stern words for Israel over the hostage talks. What's your take on the Biden administration's approach? And are they really with Israel when it comes to dealing with the Islamic Republic?
Good afternoon. I think that what is happening today with the American administration is something which is pretty similar that we knew yesterday and the day before yesterday. For the Americans, the cornerstone of their regional vision is seizing the war in the Gaza Strip, which means a hostage deal in any price or in the conditions that are introduced currently. And I think that they are wrong. I think that the red lines that Prime Minister Netanyahu set are correct. And just today, a huge tunnel was revealed beneath the Philadelphia corridor. And I think that it is pretty understood that Israel cannot leave the Philadelphia corridor before destroying all the infrastructure of the tunnels there, and before having a sort of a reasonable solution for the day to come. Therefore, I think that Israel has to continue pressuring militarily Hamas. I think that Hamas is under pressure. I think that the United States has to help Israel on pressuring Hamas by increasing also the pressures on Qatar. And then we will reach to a hostage deal in better conditions and more reasonable deal.
Now, what can we expect to see from this supposed retaliation by the Islamic Republic? I mean, what kinds of capabilities do they actually possess? And how can Israel limit the impact of such an attack from the Islamic Republic?
The Iranian can do what they did before. They cannot do more than that, only in the quantities. I mean, the only two options that they have is to use the variety of aerial platforms that they have, be it drones or cruise missiles or ballistic missiles, and to use their proxies. I mean, this is what they did till today. This is what they did on April 13, and this I assume what Iran will do when their retaliation will come. Maybe it will be more intensified. But in the very same time, I think that we have to remember, and the entire public in Israel and the region should understand that Iran is much more vulnerable than Israel. Its offensive and defensive capacities are much lower than the Israelis ones. And I think that if Iran will exaggerate with its retaliation, then Israel will retaliate on the Iranian retaliation. And this time, the Israeli retaliation will be very hurting for the Iranians. And it is not so complicated for Israel to paralyze many infrastructural systems in Iran, be it water, electricity, oil, you name it. So I think that the Iranians should be much more concerned than the Israelis in this regard.
Now, we are almost out of time, but I just wanted to ask you something interesting we've seen the last few days is that both Hezbollah and the Islamic regime in Iran are pledging explicitly to target civilians intentionally, which is, of course, a war crime. I'm wondering if you've seen any kind of international pressure over such actions and commitments to specifically target civilians, or does the world just have no further way of deterring this regime in Iran?